What's up again, everybody? How's it going? It's Carpo here. I wanted to talk for a minute about embarrassment for a moment. And I guess this kind of relates to the video I made a week or two ago about entitlement or entitled people. And because I was talking to my wife about this morning, I was like, some people, they hate being embarrassed, but they need to be embarrassed. And I was thinking about entitled folks. I said that, it's almost a type of entitlement to be rude. And so something that happened to me today, I thought I'd tell this story because I wanted to mention this quote I posted yesterday that I thought up was, I think it was, oh, I wrote it down. No, that was a different one. Anyway, um, it was referring to, oh yeah, there it is. Never make fun of someone's laugh. And it was something I was thinking about last night. I was thinking about how some people just have the funniest laugh. And just absurd, and how it's easy to just kind of poke fun at someone's laugh. But people might get embarrassed about that. And I thought, that has got to be one of the things that I wanted to mention is to never make fun of someone's laugh. Because laughing is all we have to cope with this messed up world that we live in. And sometimes the messed up lives that we have, laughs are how we get through. And if somebody makes fun of the way we laugh and we become embarrassed, in other words, if you even make someone question whether they should laugh or not because they don't want to be made fun of, that's a travesty, just a travesty. So on the opposite end of that spectrum, some people do need to be embarrassed about some things. And so this morning, something happened to me that was kind of funny, and I wanted to talk about it here. So I've always been the kind of guy who can talk myself into trouble or talk myself out of trouble. And I've done both most of my life. I've always been a smartass. That comes across somewhat in my videos, but I'm pretty straightforward in my videos. I don't really, I'm very cynical and sarcastic in my day-to-day life, but I'm also a serious person when it's time to be serious. But the one thing that I cannot stand is rude people. And so I've always been the kind of person where if someone's rude, I call them out on it. And some people might say, well, hey, it's none of your business. If you're in a store, I'm the guy who, someone was on their cell phone the whole time they're talking, checking stuff out, and the clerk's trying to talk to them. It's a year ago or something, and I mentioned something, and you can see the look on the clerk's face, that they're like glad that someone said something, but they can't because it's their job. Um, it's up to the individual whether that's something that might bother them or not. But to me, it does. It does. I find it rude when people are act entitled in a shop. So anyway, I went down to the vape shop this morning. They open at 10 a.m. and nobody was there. They just opened. There was one customer just leaving. So I go in there and I talk to the guy, and I go in there at least every week or two, and I know all the guys that work there. He's like, "What's up?" And I was asking him about a different kind of vape fluid I wanted to try, and all of a sudden this guy walks through the door. He comes just walking up right next to me and plops this package down, and he goes, you gave me the wrong coils. And the guy's like, oh, okay. And so, I just let it go, whatever. He's just going to jump right up in front of me. Fine, just let him do his thing. I'll look through the catalog. And then he says, they went through this little thing. The guy was like, oh, well, these ones work? He goes, no, I need this kind. And he said, oh, I'm sorry, we don't carry those here. And the guy goes, slams it down. He goes, give me my money back then. And he walks up to the counter. And I couldn't help it. I looked over as he was walking over the counter and I said, please? And he turns and he looks at me and he goes, I meant what I said. And I said, I figured you did. Well, it's pretty damn rude. And he goes, shut the fuck up and mind your own business. Like that. And I said, no. I said, I'm just saying that for the sake of him who has to work here and listen to the shit because he can't say anything. And he said something to the effect of shut the fuck up again. And then I just sat there calmly and waited for my turn. And after he finished and started to walk off, I walked up to the counter and I was like, now that Mr. Pleasant is done. Oh, because that's what I said to him earlier. I said, because when he told me to fuck off, I said, wow, you're really pleasant. And he goes, yeah, I am. So anyway, the guy walks out, gets in his car, and I made that little jest as he was leaving, and I couldn't help it. And so I'm standing there at the counter for a couple of minutes talking to the guy and just laughing. And instead of saying, okay, let it go for what it was, I had to lean out and just kind of like laugh had this like look on my face because I could see him sitting in his car waiting. And I knew he was stewing in his car. And as I was talking to the guy at the counter, I said, that guy's a Lyft driver. And then I looked closer and he had an Uber sticker. He was an Uber and a Lyft driver. And I was like, God, I hope I don't ever get a guy like that, you know? So anyway, I finished up. Knew the guy was waiting for me. Our cars were the only ones in the parking lot. And so I walk out the door and he gets out of his car right away and he goes, you need to learn when to mind your own business and shut the fuck. And I just cut him off and I said, get over it, man. And I got in my car and he just starts screaming something else about, you're just going to leave, you pussy. You know, and he's like, what did he say? Come get some or something like that. I was like, fuck you. And I just drove off. And I thought about it afterwards and I realized, you know, I've learned to not let people like that get to me. Of course, you get that kind of surge of adrenaline at first, but instantly gone because it's mind over matter. In the past, when I first started YouTube, for example, if I'd have some trolls that could really get to me because I didn't know any better, and you know, they'd keep prodding me, and then I got to the point where, you know, these people have no ethos. They have no bearing on my life. Why do I care? I don't even know what they look like or who they are. They're just trying to get a rise. And that's a little bit different than a situation like that. But learning to cope with trolls and haters and angry people online can help you deal with overcoming that easily in the real world. But the point really being here that I kind of revel in the satisfaction of shoving people's faces in it when they're being rude. And perhaps that makes me an asshole too. And that's okay. It's like I take one for the team. Somebody has to do it. I've been in a room full of people where one person is just being so rude to someone and nobody says a thing. And it's a situation where the person is obviously taking advantage of the fact that the person is an employee or something, you know. It can get pretty bad, but I guess it depends on your specific situations and what you've encountered in your life. But I'm sure every one of you have seen some rude jerk treating somebody like crap. And it's funny because when I talked to the guy at the counter, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I had to do that. He goes, oh, I'm cool. That's cool. And he goes, actually, after that, he goes, I was like, you know, I'm sorry, you have to deal with that. And he's like, that's all right. I just made a note on his account that he's banned from the store forever. And I thought about it, and I was like, if I hadn't said something, he probably wouldn't have even done that. But the fact is, he goes, we don't even offer returns. He's like, I was just doing it to be cool. Because, you know, purchase is a purchase. They don't have returns at that store. You know, you try to be nice to someone, you try to be courteous, and people are still dicks. But I realized when I came home, and I thought, it wasn't that he was mad, it was that he was embarrassed. And then that got the wheels turning about how embarrassment can cause people to really behave irrationally, and people don't like to be called out, especially in front of others. Some men resort to that fisticuffs, you know, oh, I'm a tough guy. And that's the fight or flight kicking in. They decide to fight. The thing is, you don't have to be in a fight or flight situation. You can just be in a walk away situation. You know, humans have the ability to not always have to fight and not always have to fight. You can sit and you can say what you have to say and you can walk away. Unfortunately, some people don't have very good mannerisms when it comes to discussing things with people, and I can respect that. So if they don't have the right words in a word battle, then they'll resort to throwing fists. But I just find it humorous, you know, whenever that happens, that people, just for merely saying someone's rude, they can want to fight you. And it's an interesting concept, but, you know, the world's full of all kinds of people, and it's just what we deal with. But so in this video, I just wanted to just give a shout out to people who do call out rude people, not just rude people, people who are abusing their children in public, people who are screaming or threatening to hit their wives in public. And the one person says something and somebody says, hey, that's none of your business, you better stay out of that. No, it's all of our business. Everything that happens in our societies, in our cities, is our business. And that's the thing people need to understand. If you really call yourself a member of a community and you're willing to see someone treat someone like shit in the town you live in, and you're not going to say anything, then you're part of the problem. And I hope people realize that, you know, the jerks aren't the ones calling them out. It's just that the people are unaware that it's their responsibility as members of a community to do that. So, you know, it's like we don't have those, what are they called? Those things they put your head in, the gallows kind of things, where you put your head in there with the hands and you'd be shamed and they'd throw tomatoes at you and shit. Maybe they need to bring those back. It'd be pretty badass. I don't know. I look at, you know, civilization before, you know, in past centuries, and it seems so crude. But then when you really look at what's going on today and you think of the problems we've encountered, you realize these are thousands of years of evolution of ideas that brought people to use some of these methods. Not just those things, but like not just punishment methods, because there was some medieval shit that went on. But the way that societies operated, you know, and that's what my next video is going to be about. It's just going to be about, you know, tribalism and how we got to where we are. How even with our neighbors, we consider ourselves so distant from one another that we separate ourselves from what's going on around us and we don't partake enough in put ourselves in harm's way in order to protect other people, I guess, because that's what makes a community or a civilization, in my opinion. But more to come on that in our next video. I'll talk to y'all later, and don't be a rude person. It's not cool. People don't like it. Peace.